Our next honoree is Lori Palmer, class of 1965. Lori has spent her life serving the greater good. Her desire to improve the lives of others came in part from her time at Minnetonka High School, where she gained an appreciation for different places, cultures, and people from her geography teachers. Her value of other cultures solidified during the American Field Service year in Brazil. After graduating from the University of Minnesota College of Education in 1970, Lori served as a VISTA member in Austin, Texas. She's been in Texas ever since, serving her community in a variety of ways, from executive director of the North Texas Food Bank to serving the Dallas City Council. She and her husband also founded what is now the Big Bend Conservancy, raising over $3.2 million for park projects. Her list of accomplishments is quite extensive. To introduce Lori and say a few words about her is a former teacher and friend, Gretchen Fogel.
It was September 1960. The place was Deep Haven Junior High. Lori Palmer, who was to become one of the special delights of my teaching career, walked into my 8th grade geography classroom. I am thrilled and still delighted that she is being recognized today with this Alumni Achievement Award. Lori could be described as the student any teacher would love to have. Eager to learn, enthusiastic, reliable, curious, engaged, bright, making connections, conscientious, a leader among her peers. The list could go on and on. Perhaps because she was the daughter of Principal Lori Palmer, many of us were able to follow her high school and college careers. For example, how intriguing it was to hear about her AFS experience in Brazil and her continuing love affair with that country. After graduating from the University of Minnesota, Lori chose to go to Texas as a VISTA volunteer, wanting to learn and gain a better understanding of diverse viewpoints and cultures. Staying on in Texas, she continued to flourish in an environment quite different from her Minnesota roots. Expanding her interest in community development, in issues of justice and compassion for the marginalized, in political and civic engagement, her gifts as a student again shone forth. Lori took on leadership roles in a wide variety of projects, including working with the LGBT community during the spreading HIV/AIDS epidemic, directing a largely Hispanic Head Start center, increasing food shelves in the Dallas area, confronting airport noise, organizing against domestic violence, and founding the Big Bend Conservancy, as well as an animal rescue program. Wow. Yet another delight was one time while in Dallas, Councilwoman Lori Palmer showed me around the Dallas City Hall and her office. It was easy to sense her special leadership skills and her concern for her constituents. Lori served on the Dallas City Council for 8 years. Frankly, I had hoped she would run for governor. My daughter and I stopped in Dallas once as we were driving to Houston for Betsy to begin her teaching career there. What a treat to spend an overnight with Lori and husband Russ and enjoy an evening of wide-ranging conversation and inspiration. Now it is again a special delight and an honor to introduce this former student and friend, well known to many here today, a woman so deserving of this Alumni Achievement Award, activist and humanitarian Lori Palmer.
Gretchen, thank you so very much for that introduction. It is truly meaningful for me to be here today, and it has less to do with me than it has to do with you. This school, though it looks different and is certainly much bigger than the school that I remember when I attended high school here as a graduate in 1965, is really in some ways for me the foundation, and a foundation which really grew from my 9 years in the public schools here in Minnetonka. So I was first a child at Deep Haven, and then a child at Groveland Elementary, and then a younger student at Deep Haven Junior High, then its name, and then a student here at the high school. It is deeply meaningful for me to be here today to accept this award, and I sincerely thank the Minnetonka Alumni Association for this honor. I also want to thank Don Mark for having nominated me. I did not know this was happening, as the earlier recipients have also indicated in their case. And I was shocked, excited, humbled about that. And let me tell you, though, how I feel about this award, apart from that which has been described as the basis for it. I honestly feel that it is only representative of the many ways in which the classmates that I went to school with, graduated with, and have stayed in touch with not as often as I'd hoped once I made my homestead in Texas. The talent, the conviction, the contributions, that which has been described by earlier awardees today, I think is an absolutely remarkable statement to the quality of education and leadership in the Minnetonka Public Schools, to the quality and excellence of the teachers and educators, and the way in which they respected, inspired, and supported all of us as we were moving through our young journey as young people. And certainly the strong support in the community for public schools, which is a long-standing support and not common necessarily in school districts. Let me capture as briefly as I can how my upbringing and roots and anchor in this public school system and in this community helped shape my core beliefs and values. And then how those core beliefs and values guided me in what became both a professional and a personal life of advocacy, community organizing, community leadership, and basically community building through sometimes very difficult issues and very difficult challenges. So when I left here, I went to the University of Minnesota, and I built upon my intense interest in multicultural communities. I became active in the International Student Association at the university and met and worked with many students from other countries in the world. I was comfortable doing that because of my time in Brazil. Somehow I knew, though I had originally applied for the Peace Corps, that what I really wanted to do was stay in this country. I wanted to learn and understand the challenges of the people in this country. And I knew intuitively that I didn't have enough exposure to the diversity of our country, both socio and economically, and as it turned out in Texas, politically. That was important to me to lay the groundwork, so Vista became the avenue for doing that initially. Honestly, I would never have expected that I would have built my life in Texas. If I were asked at any time during the first 25 years of my life to list the states in the country that I would like to live in, Texas would have been among the bottom 5. But I found a husband, Russ Stewart. We married, and I moved to Dallas. That became the basis for what I think could be called a life of social action and advocacy, political diligence, and sometimes scrappy street fighting. The opportunities were many. I brought my leadership skills and abilities with me. I became involved in a number of different social policy issues. Those policy issues ranged from urban planning, land use planning and zoning and transportation, airport noise, environmental protection, HIV/AIDS, police community brutality, domestic violence, poverty, hunger, education of the children from impoverished families and neighborhoods, particular interest in the prevention of teenage pregnancy, and ways in which girls and young women from poor families could be encouraged to become aspirants of career. I was called a community activist. I was called an interloper. These were ways in which, in the beginning, the social control of Dallas didn't like me being there because it was an interesting time of change for Dallas. So when I was there on the city council, this is what we were grappling with. Police were shooting civilians. Civilians were shooting police. Every month I went to a funeral of a black citizen or a white policeman. AIDS, HIV hit Dallas. Many of my friends were affected. Many died. The fear was great. We had to find a way to bring in money. We had to find a way to bring in services. We had to find a way to develop compassion in a community that was fearful. During that time, the changes occurred in our socioeconomics. More Hispanics moved into the community. The black community stabilized in number. The white community moved further out to the suburbs. So there were a lot of issues and there were a lot of management challenges of how to organize communities and neighborhoods and people and constituency groups around issues. I am a deep believer in social change. I'm a deep believer that individuals can make a difference, that individuals can organize and mobilize others around common core beliefs and values. I also, and I'm sure like many of you, am worried about the competency of our nation and how we will be able to manage the realities of change and the changes that are taking place socioeconomically, in our communities and neighborhoods, in our climate, in the way in which we manage or don't manage our resources. I believe that one of the strongest roles that a public school system can carry out is to help arm children with the belief that they as an individual can make a difference and will make a difference and should make a difference. And that can be carried out professionally, can be carried out politically, it can be carried out as a volunteer. What the theme that ties that all together is the belief in the good of people, the fundamental good of people. And people often react out of fear and a sense that they will lose if others win. And it's our job, at whatever level we are at, to help communities build confidence in their ability to be successful. I want to particularly thank friends from the class of 1965 who are with me today. I want to thank teachers who are with me today that I had in junior high and in senior high. I want to thank friends and family of my late parents, Phyllis and Lori Palmer, who are here as well. You know, we are all in this wonderful tribe called Minnetonka Public Schools Extended. And I truly thank all of you for your continued commitment to this school district, for the leadership, certainly Mr. Erickson, Superintendent Peterson, former Superintendent Dreyer. And I thank all of you, and I thank the Alumni Association for this award. Thank you.